Luego. Hope everybody's doing well. I wanted to touch on a highly political subject today. Everybody's probably heard on social media, in the news lately about Bill 96 from the Quebec government. The bill has a goal to protect and strengthen the French language. Again, it also has an aspect to it of asserting Quebec nationhood. And now, for me, Bill 96 represents nothing short of a second colonization of First Nation people and their territories. I say that because Quebec government will not recognize, it seems, the fragile nature of the language and culture of the First Nations of this province. And only the French language matters. That, to me, is selfish and I think even arrogant. I know that the Quebec people are better than that. I know they sympathize with First Nations issues in this province and even across the country. But there's room to work between our societies. We need to at least talk with their representatives why First Nations will not agree to such a thing. One, we understand, if anybody does in this world, we do, about the fragile nature of the French language and culture within a sea in the North American continent of English. And us within a sea of French is also threatening our languages and cultures. We also looked at what the Prime Minister of Canada was saying recently, the recognition of Quebec nationhood, that they have a right to assert their nationhood. And they even have the right to unilaterally change the Constitution. Well, there's certain problems with that kind of thinking. One is the assertion of nationhood. What territory will this nation be claiming? And most likely would be our unceded territory and treaty lands, right? I think we can all agree on that. And when it comes to the language and culture aspect, well, if you're going to do this, shouldn't you also commit to helping us promote, protect, save our languages and cultures? Because we are part of the fabric, the history of this country and of this province. If it weren't for especially the Mohawks, I think we would all be under American jurisdiction right now. So we've contributed a lot to this country, and we've been through a lot over the centuries. Now, the assertion of nationhood, we see how they're going about it. In Quebec, there's what's called the development and the management of the territory. So you see it with the MRCs, with the municipalities, when they talk about, they say their territory, within the territory of Mirabel, within the territory of Oka. Using these words at these levels is a slow march towards that independence, that sovereignty, that nationhood, without even talking with the First Nations on how they would operate as a nation with our First Nations. I've objected to this status or recognition since 2011. When I first came in as Grand Chief, I sat at the Quebec table, and the issue of the day was dealing with Quebec on a nation-to-nation. I took to the floor and I explained to the chiefs my point of view. If someday Quebec wins another referendum, and you've given this recognition today, they will hold this resolution up at the United Nations and say, look, the First Nations recognized us, and now their territories, they and their territories and resources are coming with us without no negotiation whatsoever. That's the danger. So I recommended recently, when this Bill 96 came up, I recommended to the chiefs that were in attendance that we should send an objection to the United Nations to withhold that recognition until such talks, if need be. Until those talks take place and we see what this nation of Quebec is going to look like. How is it going to operate with regards to First Nation rights? Now, Trudeau has mentioned that the provinces can unilaterally change the Constitution where it's in specific regard to them. In this case, it's Bill 96. It's not specific to them. It has an impact on our Section 35 rights in the Constitution and even within the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So there are some parts to this that they're not even looking at. We need to have these discussions. The Quebec Society, I think, has evolved enough. And the majority of them, I know it, sympathize and also understand very well what First Nations are talking about when it comes to the oppression of their language, their culture, the taking of their lands. I've heard many French-speaking people say it to me over the years. Now, is there enough of a social will to force their government to accept this reality? We'll see. But we have to start talking about this openly in the media, talking directly, appealing to the Quebec people. Hey, you're forgetting someone here. And I'll bet you anything, their governments will change their attitudes. We've already looked at systemic racism within this province, and I'm not sure how systemic this would be. I don't believe it's the majority of Quebec people that are openly racist to us. There's quite a bit, but I don't think it's the majority. So by using that as a basis for a relationship, I think is already a good start. Appealing to that segment of society and pushing aside the fringe, those militant attitudes towards our people, trying to put that aside so that we can have a decent conversation. So there's a lot of political work that needs to be done. And I'm asking Premier Legault, are you going to be the man that's going to take that hard decision and recognize the First Nations within this province, the fragile nature of their societies? And are you going to commit to strengthening that? Or are you just going to be as neglectful as past leaders of this province and this country? Something that it's a wait and see. But for now, First Nations really must gather up the strength and the courage and take the next step. Go to the UN. Try to appeal to all levels of government. This kind of constitutional change is a violation of our basic fundamental rights as First Nation people. And we can't just let that happen without one objection. So that's about it for this one. I'm hoping you understand. And any comments, you're free to make your comments on this Facebook page. And let's see if there's some common ground. And see if there's something we forgot. So I appreciate your attention today. Talk to you at the next capsule. Au revoir.